Welcome back, everyone, to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have 22 days until fall settles in for 2023, and in today's video, we'll be focusing on your September weather forecast. Make sure if you're not a subscriber to my channel that you hit the subscribe button down below as I cover all of North America, including the tropics on this channel as well, and be sure to press the thumbs up button as it helps to get all of this weather information out to as many people as possible. So without further ado, let's step into September and show you the weather forecast week by week. So now through September 7th, this takes us through the first week in September. Looks like we're going to have a trough across much of the west and the Pacific Northwest. That will be bringing in some cooler temperatures and some active weather as well as troughs normally do across the west. And we'll have a ridge starting to build in across the middle of the country and really the eastern two-thirds of the United States, including southeastern Canada during the first week in September. So looking at the temperature anomalies during this time frame, it's going to be well above average across the southern portions of Canada here from Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, into Quebec, but also further south here into the north central states and also into the Great Lakes region as well. So that's something to keep an eye on, as we could have temperature anomalies up to 15 degrees above normal across these regions. And then out west, we're going to have a trough, so that's going to keep temperatures near average or slightly below average here by a degree or two, especially into California and Oregon during that first week there in September. Looking at the precipitation side of things, it does look active across the Pacific Northwest. I know it's been very dry recently. We do need the rainfall up there. It looks like we're going to get some opportunities for some decent rains up across the Pacific Northwest in the first week in September, and also an active jet stream over the top there from portions of Alberta through Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario, Canada, and even northern Quebec that could provide them with some precipitation chances here and there through the first week in September. But as a dominating high pressure system normally does, we have lots of sinking air and sunshine across the eastern two-thirds of the country, so expect well below average precipitation for the most part east of the Rockies, except for maybe some tropical moisture getting up here at times into the eastern Gulf and then near the western Atlantic with any tropical systems. But other than that, very high and dry across portions of the Rockies on east during that first week in September. Moving into the second week now, we start to see that high pressure system take a leg up, starts to strengthen a little bit further. So we're going to start to see more of those anomalously warmer temperatures across the country here. And you can see that it really takes over southern Canada, southeast Canada, and much of the contiguous United States from September 7th through September 14th, with temperatures that could very well be 5 to 15 degrees above average, especially centered here across the Great Plains. It's very dry. The drought does continue to intensify here, so that's just going to keep those temperatures hotter longer across this region. And any average type of temperatures in town is really across the westernmost areas, really right along the coastline here of California, western Oregon, and western Washington, and on up into British Columbia there, or maybe down into central and southern Florida. And that'll be about it, as that dominating high pressure system will be in full force by the second week in September. But that's also going to keep us dry. So the drought will continue to develop across the middle of the country. I know we have that extreme and exceptional drought down here into Texas. I expect that to continue into the second week in September with lots of dry conditions here and really any active weather around, maybe at times across New England, but that'll be about it as we go into the second week in September. Moving from September 14th into the 21st time frame, we start to see a little bit of a pattern change, although it's subtle as we go into that time frame. So we still have the warmer temperatures in town. We have that ridge, but it's weakening into that second half of September, and as it weekends, it's going to start to meander further off to the west. So the Pacific Northwest and Southwest Canada is likely going to see the most above average temperatures during this time frame, whereas we're going to have a little weakness underneath that here across portions of the southeast and the east coast, where we could have more average to slightly above average temperatures still during that third week there in September. How does the precipitation play out? Well, we're going to have an active subtropical jet try to kick in underneath here, but it will take time to get going. But we do start to see more average to slightly above average precip across portions of the desert southwest, the Four Corners region, but still hanging on to those dry conditions here from southeastern Canada down through the Great Lakes and the Mississippi Valley. Unfortunately, that will be intensifying the drought even further as we go into the third week in September there. And then finally, the last week in September, the last few days there from September 21st through the 30th, and we start to see more of an increase in the El Nino impacts here, I think, by the late September, where we take on more of an El Nino look with warmer anomalies and heights building across Canada and the northern states, and we start to see a weakness underneath with a subtropical jet kicking in here from California, the Four Corners region, through Texas and along the Gulf Coast and into the southeast during this period. And how that does with our temperatures, it's still going to be above normal for the most part. We're still seeing the feedback from the drought down here in Texas, so that's really why we see those above normal temperature anomalies. But that will start to change, I think, as we get into early October here beyond this period. But I do start to think that this is going to start to turn more average across the southern United States, and we're going to see more precipitation. So I know it's been a while since we've had a lot of rain down here into Texas, Oklahoma, and the Four Corners region. Well, it's coming back. You just got to wait a few weeks, and by late September, we could be seeing above normal precipitation, possibly even some flooding events down here if we get a lot of rain in one area. So that's something to watch. And then across southeast Canada, New England, the northeast, the Ohio Valley, the upper Midwest, we're still kind of hanging on to the below average precip down here across those regions. So we're still going to continue to intensify the drought as known with El Nino impacts. So that will continue to intensify beyond the first day there of fall. And look, when looking at severe weather potential this September, this is what I came up with the potential for severe weather. In the yellow, you have a low probability of severe storms, and then in the medium probability there in the orange, that's with the clash of air masses, and this is mainly for the second half of September. So about September 15th through the 30th time frame, we're going to probably see more frequent cold fronts moving down from Canada here and into the northern United States. And when the warmer temperatures to the south meet up with the cooler, stable air to the north, that's going to set off a clash of air masses, and we could see all modes of severe weather, damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes. Now, I'm not expecting a tornado outbreak like we saw in March or April, but I'm definitely seeing some potential slight and enhanced risk days for severe weather coming up as we go through September. And with the cooler air and the stable air coming in, yeah, behind the cool front, there could be an early frost up here across the upper Midwest, the upper Great Lakes, and parts of interior New England as we go into September, especially where you see the medium blues. That's a medium confidence for frost and even hard freeze conditions. So that is something to keep an eye on if you live in eastern Montana, the Dakotas, Minnesota, northern Iowa here through much of the state of Wisconsin, Michigan, including the upper peninsula there, and then down into northwestern Pennsylvania and upstate New York. That would be the area with medium confidence for frost or hard freeze conditions, but that could extend further south here. That does include a low probability there for portions of Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha, getting down to Kansas City, Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis, and then on over there toward Pittsburgh. That'll be something to watch as we go towards later September. If you want additional weather forecast updates, hit the description down below the video and follow me on Twitter or X at HWeather420. I do post updates on the weather forecast on that platform very frequently throughout the week. Otherwise, make sure to share this video with friends, family, and on social media, whether that's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I definitely appreciate that. Otherwise, make sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel so you can stay up to date on the latest weather forecast across North America and the tropics. And make sure to press the thumbs up button, the like button, to help get this weather information out to as many people as possible. I truly do appreciate it. We're a team here. We work together. I give you the weather forecast. You help me spread the word, so I appreciate it, folks. Hope everybody have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you all in the next video.